And I'm Vanessa, and welcome to No Filters, No Fears
No
podcast.
Fears podcast. As you saw, today's elephant is a three. So, it's a little bit serious. It's a little bit
Yeah,
serious.
it's warming up. It's warming up. We decided to when we came back, season 3. Okay, we're gonna ease up into it. Season 3, level 5. No, suavecito.
No, little by little, because we don't want to scare everybody away.
We're warming ourselves up too. But today's episode, season 3, episode 3, how deep is your footprint? Hi, Danny. Hi, mommy.
Hello, everybody. You guys are early. I like this. We didn't
Hello,
have
early birds. How deep is your love? Oh no, how deep is your footprint?
Yeah. If we had our music playlist, that could have been the song.
No,
Okay.
no. Nobody. I need see that is a thing that we actually did not put
What?
the like that we didn't do a what is it not a tally like a we asked people about the calendar. We're gonna ask you guys about the playlist.
No, let us know now if you guys
Krisha
want.
was the only one who voted through comments.
Danny's like, Danny, you want the playlist? I don't know. I guess everybody wants a playlist.
Fine, I'll put the playlist back. Jeez.
I mean, who doesn't love music? Raise your hands. I mean, come on.
But no, but there wasn't the traffic
No
wasn't
interaction.
happening. There was
No.
no. This was actually the song that I used for the video. So we'll have a little video on the bottom while we start to talk about this for the for the ¿cómo se llama? The definition. All right, there's people here. Let's get the show on the road.
Yes. So, sorry, brain fog.
You're fine. So, I'm sure everybody could guess, right? Music does nothing for me, said no one ever. Okay, Danny, I got the message.
I was
Got
about
it.
to say, I got a little.
I'm not saying that music doesn't do it for people. It does it for me. That's my jam. But we would do the playlist and it wasn't getting that many plays. So I was like, maybe they like the one song we put out. Maybe we can recommend that song that's connected to the episode. But a whole ass playlist, y'all didn't seem too interested.
Well, I got a definition for y'all. I know we're interested, so let's go to it.
Dale.
The amount of carbon dioxide on the carbon compounds emitted due to the composition of fossil fuels by a particular person, group, etc. That is what carbon footprint means.
And what it does.
And what it does. So basically, it's you and what you do to the earth and what you provide to it and
Right.
take away from it.
So because those emissions create they heat up the earth.
Yeah. So I do have a link which I'm gonna put on the comments, so you guys could click on it and check your carbon footprint. How much you are emitting right now. Your percentage, and it will help you try to figure out how you could reduce all of these things we're gonna be talking about next. I'm putting it in the chat. Everybody, let me know if you're actually able to click it.
And you took the quiz, right?
Yes, I did.
Did we want to share our results of the quiz?
Well, yeah. The first time I took it, I took it basically blindly, but I took it the first time, and my percentage was 12% better than average. So my carbon footprint is 15 tons per CO2/year, I guess. So that's 1% below what is it that the total per person, I
Right.
guess you could say. So but yours is different because you had three
Yeah,
people.
I did it based on my household, which is 3 people living together. And granted, like if I went more in depth to what actual what our actual like daily consumption of certain things is, it would probably fluctuate a bit. But based on the information I had at hand, it was 30, what is it? 31 tons of CO2 per year is the total footprint. And that's 14% better than a household of three, which is, I guess, something to be proud of. And at the same time, when you put into context what the consumption of the US is as a whole, I took another quiz that was not this one.
Mm-hmm.
And that one made me really think of like other things I can do to better my carbon footprint, because I took it and based on me as a singular person, it would take 2.8 Earths, planet Earths, to sustain my way of life.
That's a lot.
That's some shit. I know we recycle. I will talk later about what recycling, like what it really does and how it's good and how sometimes it's not so good. So you have to think about what it is you're recycling. We'll talk about that. Chubi has some important recycling info too. So even taking all that, perhaps plastics and donate clothes. Ah, look, see, look at that. My mom is ahead of the game. She's knowing some stuff. But even in doing those small things, yes, it causes impact, but it depends. And even then, for one person, so if at one person, it takes that many planet Earths, non-reusable, like non-reconstitutable resources, could you imagine what it takes for the billions of people on the planet? That shit's crazy.
That's
When you
not
put it into that perspective.
its own galaxy. The hell?
The
And
multi-purpose.
and that goes into saying that, you know how people don't believe that global warming
Yeah,
is,
that global warming is a thing.
and
Yeah.
it is because we're literally the contributors to that. We're the ones basically ruining the planet, for lack of a better.
There's a particular, just like our bodies, we know we have a fever when we take our temperature. There is a temperature to the planet, right? And certain emissions add and change that temperature, which is why we see the result of more hailstorms or certain things, or even to the point of in certain rainforests, you might see acid rains,
Hotter
right?
weathers, yeah, and then the hurricane season, how it we had more in 2020. We had more hurricanes like this. It was way too many in the history of like that time, and it was
Yeah,
crazy. It was more than usual. So it's real. It's a real thing.
it truly, truly is. I mean, we've got places to start. I think basically with, like we always say, for our more mental health directed episodes, we're not therapists. We're not uh you know, biologists by any stretch of the imagination. We're,
No.
you know, our little activist hearts are doing their best. We're environmentalists at most.
Right, yeah, we're just trying to educate you guys or and ourselves too on little ways you
Yeah,
guys could change the planet in small increments. You know, it's not like you have to change your whole lifestyle right away, but it would be nice to start baby steps just so we could have in 50 years a home, you know,
and
because
in reading more about these things, I recognized how many things I'm like, oh, I already did that. And it's because a lot of it, like my mom is big on finding those kind of repurposing tips and things like that. So learn like that. You learn from seeing the example, but also in reading, I recognize I was like, I don't do that. I'm wasteful as fuck. And certain things that I'm willing to do, certain things I may not be willing to do, maybe not yet, is going through menopause too. Yeah, the earth is going through menopause.
Brian says we are not biologists. No, we're not.
That's the new hashtag. We're not biologists.
But yeah, reading is essential though. This is how we come up we come up with things, you know, to share with you guys because it's there's a lot
Yeah,
of information out there that if we took the minute the second to read, we could actually make a, you know, make a huge difference.
yeah.
So I mean,
I'm not. Chubi, you're definitely closer to like being more along the lines of things that I hope to emulate one day, but I definitely have a ways to go. I am not the authority on minimizing carbon footprint by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe by the end of this, I'll have at least 3 goals to stick to minimize my carbon footprint.
what would those three goals be?
Um, and we're gonna talk about it in terms of like sections. We'll talk about food and clothes and stuff like that.
Yes, yes, yes.
In terms of food, I've kind of already started. So maybe we can I'll start with food and then we'll talk about food.
Yeah.
Um, I went vegan and this was not to affect my carbon footprint whatsoever. This was
Right.
my cousin was doing a challenge and it seems like a fun thing to do. At the beginning of the pandemic, and as it is, I ate a shit ton of vegetables to begin with. I was like, the transition is not going to be that difficult.
Yeah.
And you know, it has its moments and teachers on being vegetarian and that back and forth. But I try to stick to the vegan as much as possible, and it affected my health in a wonderful way. My kidneys don't process proteins the same, animal protein the same. So as it was, I couldn't really consume too many. Being vegan, I felt a lot better. Like my body felt better. And from there, I started reading up on it more. And then I started seeing, oh, it's a lovely contribution to planet Earth. I'm doing a good thing. And I didn't understand why. And now we'll talk about those things.
And with that being said, it's like if you eat more fruits, veggies, and like grains and beans, like instead of meat and dairy, which is they're responsible about 14.5% of man-made global greenhouse gases emissions. And because you feed them the production and
Yeah,
processing and the methane, so the less you eat meat and dairy, the more you are contributing to
yeah,
less gases. So
right.
well, I've been vegan for and vegetarian, vegan, whatever, for like my whole life. Like meat is not it.
Wow.
The only thing I had needed to was chicken. And whoever knows me personally, they know that I love chicken or love chicken. So that was the hardest thing to leave and like stop eating. But now I'm like, I don't eat, and I don't eat dairy because I'm lactose regardless. So in that
Right,
case, yeah, my body was born vegan regardless. I can't
right.
eat, certain, and I'm
For
allergic to.
health purposes, it was helpful. And then on top of that, you're doing a good thing.
Yeah. So
We
and
also both love animals, so there's that. But for the
oh yeah,
majority, like it wasn't my purpose.
I,
That wasn't like the thought process
I grew up in
for
a
me.
farm. Like, why am I gonna? I don't wanna. No, we're never gonna get
I
there.
was reading, so there was a study. They consider this one of the foremost experiments done to kind of get a better understanding of greenhouse gases and emissions and global acidification and things like that. And it was published in Science, which is a scientific journal.
Yeah.
But Oxford University found that, and this is in regards to being vegan, but in general, leading a more plant based life, an individual can lower their carbon footprint up to 73% in just doing that alone. Um, because, little by little, reducing farmland, what you're doing is 75% of reducing farmland for the cattle and whatnot. It's the emissions to create the feed, to maintain the land.
Okay.
And we're not just talking about, okay, this was the size of that farmland. No, no, you're talking about bigger numbers when they start deforesting to make room for cattle. And it contributes to mass wildlife extinction because they're going into now wild lands to cultivate primarily to feed these animals,
Right.
right? And it's not necessarily just to grow extra for us. And that was a big to learn. That's crazy. And this was based on a study of 40,000 farms in 119 countries.
Oh my God.
So that's a lot. Go, no, say what you're saying.
And just to say, we're not telling anybody by any means to drop eating meat today. You eat, you do what's good for your health, whatever you want for yourself.
Yeah.
You do you. We're just giving you the information, and you take it as you
Like
like.
we were talking about this before. We're like, I don't think that the PETA people, and I love you, I respect you. I'm so glad you care about the animals. You guys have some fishy business yourselves. But like that whole pouring like buckets of red paint on, I'm like, listen, you're not gonna get through to people.
Right.
To each his own. everybody doesn't have to do everything exactly the same way, but if we're more conscientious about certain things, we're still have a similar goal of, general betterment. It's important. But, and like I said, it's not about going 100% vegan and everybody or anything like that, but in being conscientious of our meat and dairy production,
Yeah.
what that means, we are a nation of supply and demand. So it stands to reason if people are demanding, they're going to increase the making of these things. And it's gotten to the point that meat and dairy production is responsible for 60% of greenhouse gas emissions. And we're not as bad as other countries. Did you see that picture at the beginning, like during the pandemic, of how like what the air in China looked like before the pandemic and during?
Yeah.
It was
I really remember that was scary.
impresionante. The amount of toxins that were flying in the air prior to, like, it's a huge city. It's a massive number of people.
And we saw that around the world too
And
with
Italy,
yeah,
the water in
the world was, cleansing itself.
it was really shitty for us, but Mother Earth was like, hallelujah, una vacación, gracias.
Yeah, seriously though. It was. You just got me thinking that if you guys want to contribute to this carbon footprint and helping it, you could start by Meatless Mondays. That's what it's called, Meatless Mondays.
Yes.
You could start with that one thing once a week.
And they call January veganary. I know a lot of non-vegan people that for the month of January have decided to just try to be vegan. And they're like, after this, me voy a comer tremendo bistec. Amen. Eat your bistec. Get your bistec on. But they contributed for that month. They did their thing.
But you're doing little by little, then eventually will become a habit and just part of your life. And, if you
and it's appreciated. I mean, a lot of people have switched to having electric cars. A lot of people are taking like less trips or carpooling, and those kinds of things are absolutely aids in lowering, the general carbon footprint, right?
Yeah, those are little ways you guys could help, reduce the carbon footprint,
But when it comes to our foods, and being conscientious of those kinds of things, it makes a huge difference. It actually cuts down more on emissions than taking less flights, than having an electrical car. I'm sorry, food. Oh, I have stats on food, and I know you wanted to say some stuff about the food. Dale para allá.
No, I was gonna say about choosing organic and locally. Remember how we were talking about that? Things are in season will help tremendously. Why? Because they're not being transported from anywhere else, and they're here, or your local, food market, and that's reducing emissions. So it will help.
Besides, farmers markets are so fun.
Oh yeah, they are. They're delicious.
Usually have a lot of things going on, not just food. There's like vendors that make jewelry and stuff like that. So you're supporting local vendors, small businesses, and at the same time you're getting quality comidita.
I mean, obviously with the whole COVID, 6 feet apart thing, just keep that in mind.
There's that.
Yes.
And so based on that kind of thing, I recently became a member of Misfits Marketplace. Now, there's a bunch of different companies that do this. And based on this information that I'm going to read to you now, is why my family and I decided to go with it. That's my code. You get 20% off your first purchase. I want you guys to know we do not work with Misfits Marketplace. This code is given to me as a member of it, and I'm sharing it in case you want to try it. And there's many companies that do this. Imperfect Foods was one of the first companies to do it. And what they do is they do partnerships with farmers from different states. So in particular, Florida never had this until recently with Misfits Marketplace. And they work with local farmers and growers whose certain produce doesn't get sold to bigger stores. Think of your Publix, Winn-Dixie, Sedano, Fresco y Más, etc. Right? These places have a particular prerequisite for what their food needs to look like. So if a carrot has like splits off into two, they're like, no, eso es muy feo. I do not wish to have this carrot. So they select this, and this is what happens. These numbers blew my freaking mind. 40% of food in the United States goes uneaten. 40%. And $218 billion in food is thrown away every year. 21% of freshwater supply is used to produce said uneaten food.
Makes no sense.
And 20 billion pounds of fresh produce go unharvested and unsold each year. That's just nuts. That blew my mind.
You know how many people we could feed with that? You know, like nobody should be going hungry. Like what in
That's just crazy. And the thing is, so that's what these companies do. They grow partnerships with these people. Instead of this food being thrown out, there's nothing wrong with this food. Except the Mother Nature decided to make it a little funky. I think today they posted a thing of a pepper, a green pepper, that had an extra like chunk growing out. It looked like a pee-pee. It did. It looked like a pee-pee. So all that means is you're getting a little extra pepper. You're welcome.
right.
And sometimes, certain stores are like, they have measurements. Like a pepper can't be bigger than a certain size. So all their peppers get chosen to be that size. If anything is too big or too small, it gets thrown away or left at the farm to rot or to be sold as farmers markets if possible. So Misfits Foods and Impossible Foods and all these other companies like them, they have these partnerships. They make those vegetables available, and you can choose between two different size boxes based on the size of your family and your consumption. And you can make it fruits and vegetables, or all fruits, all vegetables, depending on what you want. And it sends you organic, locally grown seasonal fruits and veggies to your door. So
Yeah.
you don't gotta go to the store. You don't have to go to the farmer's market if you don't want to. It does it and all of their packaging is eco-friendly packaging.
It's even better.
So that's a nice thing, because honestly, to think of how much food goes to waste cuando hay gente pasando hambre es fuerte. Es fuerte. And I can do something directly by, like you see right there, it says donate to the homeless. Absolutely. But when you can't do that all the time, the way to continually contribute is to make sure that you're making use of the food so it doesn't go to waste. Those fruits and veggies, they just rot. Nobody's replanting it. Nobody's doing anything fancy. It just rots. It's a waste. And it took 21% of our water supply to grow it. There's people that don't have water. So we're wasting water to grow food that we don't eat.
Right.
Que vaina. It blows my mind.
You
It
just
really
got me
does.
thinking about this. I use this thing called World Meter, and the World Meter tells me the percentages of everything around the world or whatever. So the other day I was looking and it was telling me, like right now it says CO2 emissions this year. This year the tons is incredible.
What is
I
it?
can't even read the number. It's in like 9. It's in the 10 digits right now. It's in that 3 million or something.
So the carbon emissions, I was talking to you about this before. The carbon emissions should be about 1.8 per continent, right? 1.8 tons per continent. That's
Yeah.
already in the millions. Million
Wow.
tons,
Wow.
right? But what you're reading is like billions, trillions, probably, which is
Yeah,
absurd. In the
so
US alone, the per capita CO2 per year is 18 point la 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 la. And China, which is a huge continent, 8.5, I think it was. It takes little changes, right? Like societal changes for it to get to 1.87, but it's or closer to, but it's possible.
like I'm
Okay,
no, I'm looking at these numbers and they're just like skyrocketing, like undernourished people in the world, and then you look at the numbers. I don't know if you guys could see it. And then you see, look at this number. Look at that.
look
You
at that.
know, like with the fruits and the stuff, and then you I just sit there and it's like we are the ones creating this. This is our own fault.
Hmm.
Not
Um,
you may not think it's indirectly, directly, but it is, regardless how you want to see it.
so now that we've thrown all these scary facts and numbers,
Right,
solution, because problems no se arreglan solo.
right.
Um, I know like I have a lot of friends that are not fans of veggies. Period. I don't know how to fix that for them, or like how to like. But for those of us who do have an inclination for at least some vegetables or fruits, or want to do that, or try to lead a more plant-based life, even if you're still consuming, some animal products, there's ways of making it last longer. Like we were talking about it before, you use a lot of frozen veggies sometimes, right?
Yes, since I'm only one person, I can't buy fresh unless I want to cook that meal that day, so I don't want
Right.
it to go to waste,
My
basically.
mom, all my food preservation and such, I've learned from my mama. um at home, we no part of a vegetable goes unused ever. My mother will put all parts into a sopa. Um, so no part of a vegetable goes unused. And if it goes unused, it's probably going into a thing of water to regrow it. My mother has grown lettuce, kale, celery from the nub of what was left of that
I
vegetable,
love doing that.
and grows it herself on her windowsill, or in the kitchen. We have potatoes growing in the back. Like
The
we
best way
got
to
some
do,
veggies.
that's the thing that most people don't realize, that some of the, some of those fruits, or I mean vegetables or whatever, they could regrow,
Yeah.
you
And a
know.
lot of your fruits and veggies, you're like, oh, I don't like to buy so many fruits or vegetables because they go bad. Washing certain fruits and vegetables in diluted baking soda helps them last longer. Keeping some of them outside of the fridge versus inside helps them last longer. Sometimes keeping them like cilantro, like your herbs and spices, sometimes you can keep them in a little cup of water on the counter and they will last you 50 times longer. Wrapping them sometimes in paper and reusing said paper helps it, like paper towel, helps it also maintain.
And the freezing
So,
will bring the vegetables too.
and you can freeze them suckers, freeze them suckers. Um, and it lasts longer. So there's those possibilities with the food aspect of it. And again, no one is saying you are bad for eating de vaquitas or anything like that. To each his own. But, if you're able to kind of find a balance so that way it's not like the main thing of your life, it does its bit to contribute.
Right, right. And another way you could, reduce, food waste is by, meal prepping, planning ahead, freezing them, and
I am
reusing
the leftover queen.
reusing your leftovers. You could always make your leftovers into something else, into a new meal, but just make sure you don't.
Hey, my mom's watching. I can't say that because she'll get mad at me because she's the leftover queen.
Don't say your mama watching. Don't
I'm gonna
say
get
it.
in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble.
And
But leftovers are yummy. I like leftovers.
like was I mean, I believe leftovers are leftovers because they're just another meal. I'd say you make too much and now
They were so good that you wanted to leave some for later.
right. I mean I meal prep sometimes like 2 days ahead or 2 days.
I'm not too great about the prepping, but if I have leftovers, does that count as it being prepped?
I mean it's still left. I mean basically it's a prep the full leftover. So yes, basically. So
Okay.
what do you guys do to like what do you guys notice that you guys do on your own life that's like, oh, I am contributing to the world and I didn't even realize I am.
Oh, Jesus.
Just let us know in the comments below. We want to hear what you guys do in your daily life. I do way too much. Not way too much, but because
Well, along the lines of food, who's crying? Who put a sad emoji?
somebody put a side emoji. I don't even know who it
No
was.
llores, nene, no es tan serio. Like,
Right?
um, along the lines of food. we've talked about how there's ways of preserving the foods that we have, of things like Misfit Marketplace, going to
Mhm.
your local farmers market and those things. But you had quite a bit to say about compost and composting.
Composting, I find, well, not every city has it. I know that I don't think Florida. I found a link that I'm gonna put in the on the here below. I'm gonna put it right there. That you are able to find. I will let you guys know what composting is if you guys don't know in a minute. Hold on. So if you go to compostnow.org, you can find one in your area. Like for you, Miami has one. Miami has a compost. They will come to you and pick up your scraps. It's basically your food scraps. So whatever you don't eat, when you have a plate, there's a bunch of stuff left over. That you could put that in a bag or not. Well, don't put it in a bag because you're trying to, but in a container or something, and they pick it up. So you could do that one. So
I,
what
rem-
comes? Uh huh.
I remember in school they used to do that. We used to have like a little composting thing, and they were teaching us how to They don't do that shit no more. They don't teach the children.
Mm, Now, well, I know in my school they didn't teach us either.
I know there are some schools, and I appreciate these schools. I don't know which ones they are exactly, but shout out to y'all. There are some schools that have farm programs in
Oh
middle
yes.
schools and high school. That is
Mhm.
phenomenal. That is awesome because they're not only dealing with some animals and having to take care of like the little goats and stuff and the chickens, but they're having to learn composting and growing
Mhm.
herbs and a couple of tomatoes and things like that. And they really learn the effort that goes into this. Not that they're going to grow up and be farmers.
Mhm.
If they do, maybe they do. But
Right.
at least we're learning the importance and appreciate where their food is coming from. It's really nifty. I like that. Nifty.
Yeah. And it also depends on the schools, if they have the resources. Because obviously, like for example, I went to a school that did not have that resource for us to have, that program. So that also, it's a part of it too.
Compost that now. I'm gonna write that down. I like that. I didn't know they
Yeah,
did.
that one will find an area near you that you could, hey, I'm ready or whatever for you to do your contribute, But
And y'all,
this, hmm?
no, no, go ahead.
Did I spell it right? Because I don't remember.
Oh,
It's, oh, I put an R. I'm sorry, guys.
litterless,
It's not supposed to, yeah, not litterless. It's supposed to say litterless.
litterless.
Yeah, I kind of forgot a couple of letters up in there. I don't know how to spell today. Well, that one will give you the guide. It's a guideline on what you need to, for the
At home
compost,
composting.
and it will show you programs that you could send them to, so they
That's
could. Yeah,
awesome.
this particular one has a different way to, help you and have the like a guideline of what you need to do, what is acceptable, like. So that's why I like this one. So,
I about the composting.
hmm
Um, it's I was thinking like there's other ways. Like we are just talking about growing like fruits and vegetables. If you have a green thumb and you're doing that, like
hmm
there's ways of like reusing tu comidita to grow your own things, like we said, like the celery and the lettuce. But also, if you boil vegetables, fruits and vegetables, you use that same water that you boil those fruits and veggies in to water your plants. It doesn't even have to be fruit and vegetable plants. It could be like la matica that you keep inside, and you use that water. It has minerals that help the plant grow. So you're not wasting the water and just pouring it down the drain. You're using it for that. Even starchy water helps. So you're using those waters again. And the compost, you can even have your own little stash of at home compost to help your plants grow. Eggshells is like the best compost, isn't it?
right. I
And
mean,
citrus
this
peels.
compost is composed of so many things like leaves, shredded twigs, kitchen scraps, mainly from plants. Is a great material for garden soil. So that like you said with the water, that helps. So that's why I like compost, because you are able to also feed the little critters outside. And we talked about this, how, you know, deforestations and things like that. So also when you're raking your leaves, rake them, but rake them to one side where other critters outside are able to, especially during winter, they're able to grab those and make their little homes. But if you're cleaning and you're, doing all of those things, they basically have nowhere
No
to, because
shelter.
we're basically destroying their, their outside, their
Their
living.
habitat.
Yeah. So what I do with my scraps, I just throw them out into the yard and let all the beautiful animals out there,
Have at it, guys.
go have fun with it. I never throw it away, and if I do, it's se me va, but it's a human thing, you just
Yeah.
used to throwing it away.
Look,
But
Teresa's happy that we told her about the water. Making changing lives.
wait, I'm not reading comments, guys. I'm sorry.
Thank you for reminding me. I was boiling beans. I'll do it. I'll put the thingy.
Oh, okay. Um, yes, I never throw away the water that I use for anything. If I'm able to actually, yeah,
Yeah.
the banana peels, exactly. I
I'll
just
do
put
it.
everything out there. I just throw it out there.
And also for the like beauty people of the world, all of these thingies have secondary uses and
Oh,
reuses for like skin, for faciales, for essential oils, those kinds of things. I think we've like talked to death the food bit. Another one that for me is a lot of fun is clothing.
oh yes. Well, for you, huh?
Clothing. I love thrift stores.
I love thrifting too. So
Um, I went through a phase like in high school that everything had to be vintage. The consignment stores and things like that was like life. And I also my mom's godmother, she was big on buying all the things. So I had like vintage glasses and stuff like that to like pass down generationally, like like fancy wares. That's always fun.
yeah, what we're basically saying is like, how you could help, just don't buy fast fashion.
Yeah.
I know we all into our new stuff, but
And you can buy yours like treat yourself. Treat
it's
yourself.
perfectly fine. Trust me, I have a thing with boots, fake boots though. I don't know, brother. And I get it, but going to consignment stores and buying vintage or recycled clothing.
Doesn't
And
have
if
to
you
be a full
like it,
closet.
yeah, if you like it and it looks cool, go right ahead. I know that's not people's way of life, obviously, but
I like I enjoy shopping like a lot, especially accessories. But I did recognize like I had to you guys saw my Happy New Year's video from the empty warehouse. I did realize I had so many bags of clothes. Like clothes on clothes on clothes that hadn't seen the light of day in forever. And because I'm an actor, I do a lot of red carpets. I also model, so I had clothes that I bought for a shoot, never used it for that shoot, or wore the shirt once, never wore it again after the shoot, wore it to the one red carpet, never wore it again to any other event in life. And I was like, I have so much clothes and I have nothing to wear. So I was always, that shit
um,
was crazy.
it's funny because I'm the total opposite. Like, if I don't need to buy anything, I'm not gonna buy anything. I don't care. I don't even care about the clothing aspect of it. I just whatever, I'm content with whatever I have. So
I, it was a wake up call. A, that I hold on to too much shit. That's A. And B, that there was no need. Like I could either have returned it or passed it along. Like after 3 months of seeing that I'm not making use, like I could have, but man, and this is why I applaud a lot of theater companies. They don't buy the costuming, and obviously they're on a budget, but they don't buy things brand new. You
yeah,
become an expert thrifter, like you really do, and you find amazing things, and you create these costumes that look like $1 million, and you literally bought it at at a thrift store. I don't. jump to say Goodwill right off the bat because I have personal issues with Goodwill Industries, and how they run their shit.
Yeah.
I do support. It's not like I don't go to a Goodwill. I've never been to a Goodwill. I do, but I have issues with certain aspects, so I don't like throw their name around that comfortably.
I mean, yeah, that's why, you realizing that you own you're owning a lot of stuff. You did a yard sale, you got rid of some stuff,
Yeah.
you donated something, so
And
that's
it
not.
was very happy. Like I was able, obviously, we're in a pandemic. We all going through it when it comes to the monies. But like, it was partially that, but it was also really nice to see something that served me well or in the moment that I needed it and see it go to somebody else and also un dinerito para mí and you're happy with your brand new toy.
Right.
And even then, whatever didn't get sold was then donated. And it was also I felt lighter. I'm also making room for things that may serve me where I'm at now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that was a nice feeling because it's very difficult sometimes to let go of things because you're like, maybe I can use it for this, and you never do.
Right, and it just sits there. Me being an artist, like I recycle, upcycle, whatever, everything, and all materials are gonna be used a
Mm.
100%. So all my art materials are being used for something. I have paper, but wait, I could use that for something else. So Brian says compost not only helps the planet by creating new soil and feeding microorganisms, but also lowering our trash output. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, total. And so along the lines you just mentioned, upcycle, recycle. So those are fun things. And like on our episode of the hustle is real, we had the cosmic what's
Creations, cosmic creations.
Cosmic Creations, and they do upcycled art and merchandise, right? Which is super cool. Wasn't
Yeah,
there like a David Bowie shirt that you want, or was it a David?
it's a David Bowie shirt that they put in this amazing purple sweatshirt, and it was one of a kind. You're never gonna see that.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I love their work.
I appreciate that you looked this up because it's true. A lot of people don't know the difference, but there is. Could you tell us the difference between repurposing and upcycling?
Well, okay, repurposing is like um adapting it for use in a different purpose. This one thing,
Mhm.
right? And then upcycling is reusing it in such a way to create a product like the same thing but better.
So Vanessa's layman's terms when she was explaining this to her was, you have a table. Repurpose it means now that table is gonna be a lamp, right? And if you're really fancy, my mother has done this. My mother is a repurposed artist, so she'll take the insides of a sofa and make it into a sculpture, right?
That.
So you take the table, you made it a lamp. Upcycling is you make the table that's all scratched up and orange, and you make it beautiful, brand new green table.
Right. So
It's still a table.
yeah.
So repurpose, use it as something different. Upcycle, use it as if it were brand new.
Right. So I mean they sound the same, but they're not. But I love doing both. I love turning something into I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't
And for all the people of the world that are like, I am not that person.
know.
Right? I am do it yourself to a point. And then there's other things that I look at, I'm like, it's great in theory to want to do that, but I don't want to do that. But there's plenty of upcycle small businesses like Cosmic Creations that take those things that you want to find and they make them really interesting, and it's custom. It's all yours. You're not going to find another one like it because it's not like they found the same table 50 times and did it 50 times. It is that table that they created. You have a work of art.
I love that. Oh my god. I don't know. I love upcycling, repurposing. I just love all of it. I don't know. I just love creating
Yeah.
with
And
people.
a friend of mine, her apartment, she's got a really good balance of like brand new things. And then she's got some really cute repurposed things. Like her coffee table was a repurposed coffee table that the bottom was wood that was like comido, and then the top was a bunch of like Broadway posters that was covered with resin. So that was intact.
Yeah.
So she found another coffee table that the bottom was perfectly fine, attached the other top to it, brand new coffee table.
There you
So you
go.
can have your mix of things, or you can have your whole place all repurposed,
Yeah,
all
it's
recycled,
honestly it's
whatever floats your
whatever
boat.
exactly whatever floats your boat. But honestly, I mean, we gotta think about not just for today. We gotta think of a couple of years ahead.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part to me because how long do we technically, when is Mother Earth's gonna say, "Give me back my home"? Like
Yeah.
I want it back, and then she just like flips her lid and we're done.
Yep.
That that's the saddest part. We should go on to plastic now because it's important.
Dale, the recycling, yes.
Most of you guys know the numbers that are under your plastic containers or something like that. You see a one, you see a two, you see a three, all the way into what, seven, I believe there is. So you cannot recycle all of those together because they are not the same. So, for example, a soft drink like a bottle of water, it's a one, meaning that material that was made with it, which I cannot pronounce, polyethylene.
Polyethylene.
There we go. um, that bottle of water is only recycled with that. So you cannot mix it with the number three because that is poly. Can you read it? Polyvinyl. Number three.
You said it, polyvinyl.
So those one and three are not the same. So it's like they're not gonna mix well, so they can't be recycled together. So those numbers at the bottom of anything, they of any plastic material, they mean something. So and then there's other plastics. About 330 million plastic bottles go to the landfill,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
that's literally, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of fucking bottles. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna say stop drinking bottled waters, but another way you could do is, um, what is that thing called? Getting a filter for your,
Yeah.
getting a
Well,
filter.
this was something that I was trying to do and I failed recently. Okay, I was trying to like my mom gets the 5 gallon and 3 gallon bottles of
Oh
water,
yeah,
and we have a dispenser in the dining room. And I was trying to fill up 1 gallon and keep it in the fridge. I stopped filling it up, and I go to the bottle, like the water bottle, instead of using like the reusable bottle. But maybe that's something I'll try to make a conscious effort about, because I do use a lot of water bottles. I do.
yeah. I mean, ever since I moved here, and the because of the COVID, I haven't been able to go get a filter. And
Mm,
I mean, obviously, there's no excuse. I have the internet. I could go do that now. But I didn't think it was that bad until I
right.
realized, oh my God, because I've never used bottled water. Yeah,
And wait, they don't give us no money. But as you see, as I drink from the bottle,
I don't know how you're drinking that water. The alkaline level in that is so high. Anyway, we're not
is
talking
it?
about that. It's
My
hot.
next episode will be about alkaline levels. I know exactly what you're talking about, but it is what I'm drinking right now. Okay.
But anyway, so
And
I
I know
didn't.
what you're talking about. That study creeped me out. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome. But I didn't know it was that bad that I was using that many bottle of waters. And then I was like, I've always used, the dispenser or the filter, always, and then, carry my bottle of water with my little filter, BP, whatever. And, but that's the one thing I have to change this year. So that's my thing.
Okay, goals.
My goal, yes.
The reusable bottles versus the thing. And my mom's really good about that. My mom also doesn't cook with like she only cooks with purified water. So that's why we have those 5 gallon jugs, because it's also
Yeah.
the water she uses to cook. Because then she uses that water to what? To water the maticas.
There you go.
And the
So
garden is really hers. So that trick is all hers. I learned it from Instagram. She learned it from life.
but those are one of the ways you are able to help reduce, the plastic intake, or like a zero waste. When you buy something, make sure, I mean, I know it's hard to do a zero waste
Yeah.
with people, but
And now, in talking about the recycling, I was trying to look for the numbers. I had seen, yes, yes. National Geographic. Here we go. In just the US alone, there's an estimated use of 50 million straws every single day. And 8.3 billion plastic straws pollute the world's beaches. 8 million tons of plastic flow into the ocean every year, and straws comprise about 0.25% of that. That shit's nuts. So that's why we've seen like a lot of places begin to use those cardboard straws, which I am not a fan of porque se hacen mierda.
it's but it's the same thing. Well, cardboard, but there's
Exactly. So they
plastic.
have like the paper and the thing. Not a fan. I have not used this yet, but I'm gonna. Add this to the goal. See, there's the third one. The water bottle, the straw, and well, the food thing. I already did it.
I gave you a bottle of water, so
Yeah, you did. That was my Christmas present, so I'm gonna use that. But this was a little gifty gift. So we did the Plur episode. Y'all know I went to Okeechobee, and it was my joy. And they send you a little box full of little nuggets and trinkets, and it's actually like recyclable, like eco-friendly, just like the packaging for Misfits. And the outside is like seeds, and you can plant it, and little maticas will grow. And they gave us this. Vanessa thought it was a light for the longest time until one day I thought I broke it because this came off. And no, it's a reusable straw. And for those of us who are like, cool, gross, I was that person. It comes with this little bitch
yeah, you clean it.
to clean it. Clean, clean, clean. And okay, but here's my qualm. There's these little nuggets. But I have learned that there's ways of cleaning those little nuggets as well. You dip the straw. So to be, this is like you have to be cautious of how you're using your straw and how you clean it too. But it is nifty. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I have two straws that I've used. Obviously, I mean, if you take care of them, they will last you a while.
Cute little carrying case.
Take them everywhere you go, and then instead of having them, oh, give me a plastic straw.
Yeah, watch out. This may be the next like no filters, no fuel merch. We'll be giving these little metal straws. They're hard to like keep around and hang out. So like this is why this one's so nifty because I've seen the other ones that are just a metal straw. Like tú vas a andar con eso in the street, like hey, metal straw.
I will.
Uh,
Mine are not foldable like
I
yours.
listen. I see my friends all the time. They'll go to rehearsal, and everybody's whipping out like and they walk out with like a mason jar
Mm-hmm.
with their juice for the day or their water for the day, and then like in there because glass is a better container. And I was like, damn, you're dedicated. That's real. You're not gonna see. I will probably break the glass. That's mainly why I don't use it because I'm that person that'll break their mason jar
It might be too
midday.
heavy for my hand, so I need something.
Yeah, that's a lot. But again, I say to each his own. You do what you can do.
Right,
Mason
right.
jar is not my thing. I will have the BPA free botellita.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, baby steps. You know, like, and to me, I lose my bottle everywhere. So looking for my sports bottle, whatever it's called, everywhere. I'm like, where did I leave it? Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah,
me looking for it. But guess what? It's gonna train me to be like, you don't have bottle of waters anymore. You have that bottle. You're gonna
yeah.
fill it up, and that's it. That's what you have. So
And when it comes to recycling, the rules have changed a lot, and this changes from state to state, from city to city. Um, they count it as bottles and they count it as boxes and paper. But for example, like, oh, my croissants came in this cute little plastic thing. You can't recycle that, which to me is such caca. Um,
it has two different materials on it, though.
that it's different materials, but I feel like couldn't they sort that out? No. So now they decide they have sorting machines. It's very complicated. My aunt tried to explain it to me and it just gave me a headache. But also, in an attempt, yes, a plus is definitely to recycle. Um, but still, even within recycling, there are issues because it still takes emissions. It still creates emissions to repurpose these materials, to break them down, to reuse them as another bottle, as another whatever, or as whatever the case may be. So the whole idea is to lessen the use of, right? So by using these reusable bottles and that, and now they have a lot of like Amazon and Misfits Marketplace, and a lot of them are using eco-friendly stuffing and stuff like that for their packaging because there's so much of it. And so they have to have either a way for it to be recycled or be reused either by the home, or there's ways that you can return it.
Oh,
I will get you this link, but Amazon now has a thing. If you fill a box, one of their boxes up with clothes and whatnot, they'll donate it. They'll get the clothes donated to where it's needed. I'll get that link for you so you can put it in the final video.
you know, that envelope thing you were telling me about that had the seeds on it, like they could be,
Mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah,
that. An envelope like that would be nice. We're like, oh, I could reuse this
they
envelope. Let's
do.
go.
They have them. It's the cutest damn thing. And also, I haven't done shit with it in a while, but I'm a big Pinterest person.
Mhm.
And for the people that are do it yourself, but not to the max, there's cute little things like that. And you can make your own little seeded paper, which I find really fun.
There is this company that has their corkscrew, their cork thingy for the wine bottles. That is, it's a tree. You could plant it. You could, yeah.
That is
That's
nutty.
yeah, and I forgot the name of them, but I think that's a cool idea that you don't have to
So
throw that,
cool.
and yeah, you could reuse that. You could what's the word I'm looking for? Planet.
Re-
Yeah, I was
yeah.
going to recycle that.
I have that big. I think this would be a
Yeah.
good time as any because it's something that I want to be able to talk about a little bit before we sign off, the James Wildman thing. So, do you know what time it is? It's this time. So, along with quote quotes, I have a very big quote quote that deserves conversation, and I also have two like mini quote quotes um, for today. The two mini quote quotes are: "Plants can survive without humans, but humans cannot survive without plants."
That is truth.
By unknown, but it's true. So I say we take care of our matigas a little bit more. And the other one is: "We're living on a planet as if we had another one to go to," by Terry Swearigan. And we don't, as of yet, as much as people are
No,
exploring our big, wide, beautiful universe, we don't have another freaking planet to go to yet. So stop acting a fool, y'all.
no,
Let's do our little bits.
I'm very
Let's do our little
against
bit.
this. I don't want it yet. I don't care. There's no point of having this one when you're gonna run another one. So no, I am
I'm
against.
saying,
Sorry.
think, what makes you think you're gonna do it better on a different one?
Exactly. You haven't learned on this one.
Yeah.
Ooh, get me
Which
started.
brings me to this.
Okay, hold
Which
on.
brings me to this. And this is the hold on, I want to find the name of um caramba. So I saw a video a while ago that when I first became vegan, I started following a couple of Instagrams, and it brought me to this video about this man, James Wildman, discussing, he's a human educator with I'm going to find it right now. He works, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm going to find it because I don't want to say the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. And yes, that's the name of his. Now, it's the Chubi said this, and I totally agree. The title sounds a little preachy, 101 Reasons to Go Vegan. But the man, again, with any information that you read, read more, find more. Don't just base it on that first shit that you read. Also, it's okay to disagree. If you agree with some things and you can use it and assimilate it to your life, amen. If it's of no value to you, at least you know a different perspective of something and you can hold now a conversation with somebody about it. And if it speaks to you completely and changes your life, like it did me, then go with it. This guy has a great way of explaining um, how we've been conditioned to believe certain things about what we eat or about eating animals in particular. But in general, he shared this one particular message that I think fits everything in life. Everything, not just being vegan. And I might be misquoting him here or there. And I also would like to, I'm going to read it as he said it. He says, if you're told a certain lie, I want to change it to just general information because, in general, information that we're provided consistently, we start to assimilate as a truth or as a fact. So he says, if you say it enough times, you convince yourself it's a truth. If you're told a lie enough times or a particular piece of information enough times, it becomes part of your reality. So, truth, reality. And if enough people are told that same lie or information, now it's a part of the culture. Truth, reality, culture. And if that culture passes on to that misinformation to the next generation, now it becomes a tradition. Truth, reality, culture, tradition. And we must remember that just because we have a tradition, it doesn't mean that it is morally acceptable. Tradition does not equal morality. And he then went on to give the example of are there things, and in the comments, please feel free to share because I'm curious to see which ones you guys say. Traditions that have been a part of our history that now in present day we look at and we recognize that they're not morally correct, right? I'm sure we can think of one that is very prevalent, you know. I'm gonna give them like 2 seconds. Brian Peterson, yes, my quotey quotes. You made that song. So if somebody can put a tradition that like a tradition, an American tradition that we recognize now that it was not, that is not morally correct.
Multiple.
Multiple. Give me one, Danny, just so I feel good, so I can continue with my thoughts. There are multiple though, because there are so many traditions that with time as a society, right? And as we understand each other better and take the time to do research and understand how certain things function, we recognize that maybe we were wrong at this point. That doesn't make the historical value of it any less. We
Right.
needed to know that to know the difference, right? So I'll do it since nobody put it. Stock market, as in what's going on now. Uh, Actually, you know what? I hadn't thought about that, but that's an interesting take on this particular thing. What I was talking about was more like um slavery as a tradition. Like you can consider a tradition of the yesteryear that now we know is morally incorrect and unacceptable. Um, any kind of racism or discrimination, right? That leads to the ending of a human life because they are different, right? Unequal rights for the LGBTQ plus community. Um, People who exercise ableism in a way that is unfair to those with that learn differently. All of those things are traditions that are placed that a certain type of person or a certain type of environment can only be that thing. As we learn more about it, we've learned that they're not true and that they're not morally correct by the standards of where we've come to. And then there's
Right.
just some things that really do maintain because there is a difference between right and wrong. That being said, this man, James Wildman, applied that to veganism in the sense that, we're taught. He compared strawberries and pigs, and he's like, "What do you think of when you see strawberries? Delicious berries, smells pretty pink. And when you slice it, still delicious, smells pink, right? And you think food and deliciousness and strawberries because a strawberry is a strawberry." And then he had a picture of little pigs, like baby pigs, on the side, and everybody's response, "Oh, cute, whatever. Okay, great." But nobody associates that directly with bacon. Or you know what I'm saying? And then he
Yeah.
explains, what if I brought the same pig here? Still cute, but then you slice them, you dice it, and you make him. So you you would not be excited to be a part of that. And then he compares it to like, but you still buy the bacon, right? You don't support it inherently, but indirectly you do,
Taste wise,
right? So,
not visually.
but he then shows a picture of puppies, right? And says you wouldn't think about killing a puppy for food, but there's countries that do. They eat dogs and
Right,
cats as food, and pigs and chickens are pets. So culturally, there's a lot of differences, and it's what the story that that culture has told itself and generations,
right.
right? So, and I talked with Chubi about this before, the same way that the whole concept and opinions and perspectives about mental health has changed significantly in the last couple of years and how people are being more open about it. And this thing applies. The story that we've told ourselves or like that are placed in us by our parents, not just about teachings, but about we've talked about, attachment styles and all of those things.
Right.
That's a story that's continually told that stays with us, right? So it's the same thing. It's relearning and unlearning certain things. So why can't we apply those same things to our food and our processes of creating said resources, of our resources for energy, conservation of energy, etc.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I was gonna mention ways to reduce, your energy, like, on your house, like turning off the lights when they're not in use, or unplugging certain items, when they're not in use. Oh, if you do an energy audit at your house, to check how you use or waste your energy, depending on your well, if you live in Florida, FPL has, they have
They,
that.
and they include it in your bill so you can see it
Exactly.
automatically.
So you can see it automatically, and it tells you, breaks it down, and it tells you esto, esto, esto. And then you could go based on that. You could be like, wow, what is going on here? And that could help your bill and yourself, obviously, at the
It
house.
helps the pocket and it helps the planet. And how can you be mad at
But
it?
and the light bulbs, that, what is it called? In incandescent.
That's at night.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's really funny because a
little thing.
lot of there's been a lot of developments in like, for example, you can change your air conditioning thing to be an energy saver one. So it is an investment. They're expensive as hell, but that initial investment ends up paying you back in how much you save in your bill.
In the
So if
year.
you're in a position to do something like that, it's a positive for you. If you're not, like, I understand because I am not in that condition. But if you have that possibility, you take the ones that you can. For example, I know a lot of people that the light bulb thing, yes, it's an initial investment, or you buy a big ass box of those LED lights that last longer,
Yeah,
but it saves on your bill and it helps your pocket.
right. I have those, not here, but I think in the
Yeah.
bathroom.
And the same thing for the air conditioner and the refrigerators. And a lot of them have those like energy saver things on it. So you already know what you're purchasing. And it's tax deductible.
Right. You can also sign up for your electricity from clean energy through your local utility. So you could go to green-e.org and see if they could help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Clean energy, that will be
Yeah, there it is.
like green.
It's really funny. I grew up in DR, and over there, the stoves are still gas.
Yes, I grew up in Puerto Rico. Yeah, we still had the
We
gas.
still have gas, right? And there's a
Mhm.
lot of places in Florida that still have gas too. And a lot of people change it to electrical. Now, that's perfectly fine because like I said, now they have a lot of those General Electric is one of those really good ones that have really
Mhm.
taken the time to create appliances for the home that save on emissions and help you save money. And they put it right on the sticker on your
Right.
on your washing machine, on your dryer. But in general, if you still happen to have one of those houses with the gas, stick with it. Just be
Yeah.
safe. Nobody wants a little gas leak. Be safe about it.
But it will also help you because while everybody else has electricity out, you can still cook. You can still do something.
Mhm.
So,
A little
um,
drip.
I'm gonna name another few ways so for you to reduce your carbon footprint. Just real quick before we gotta go because we don't want to keep you here for 2 hours.
No,
Obviously, if it's possible, drive less. If you're able to walk to your
car-
destination, carpool, transportation, public transportation. If you have any nearby, obviously, if you have to go to work and that's the only way, okay. But drive less as much as you can. If you don't need to be out, especially in the COVID, don't. Just saying for people with autoimmune diseases, they also want to be out there, but people can't. Anyway,
no.
so um, oh my God, what else? Yeah, just do everything in one trip if you can, instead of like leaving in and out. Like how oh crap, I have to go here. Errands when people run errands, do everything in one
Take
time.
the day.
And if
I
you
mean,
if you if you are able to get everything delivered to your house, you know,
right. I
if
mean,
that's
it's really
busy,
funny because, and I'm guilty of this. We
mm,
all have we all have that unintentional excuse as to why we don't do certain things or make a
right,
certain change. It's more efficient. Es mi comodidad. It's whatever. But in reality, what became our comodidad became a comodidad because we got used to doing it the particular way over and over and over again. And it may not necessarily be because it's more efficient,
right,
right? So I think in reprogramming ourselves about certain things, and that's why I say not everyone has to do the same thing for it to work,
right,
right? But if we're all doing m- the majority of something that could be useful individually and as a whole to the planet, because we all live on this motherfucker, right? I think a lot of people learn by example,
yeah,
right? I learned a lot of the things that I know how to do from watching my mom do it, my aunt do it, my friend do it a different way. And then I figured out my own way of doing it, but it's still along the vein of getting the same result,
right,
right? So if we're all learning kind of those tips and tricks, it's helpful. You know, plants are not just food, they're medicine. They're what create the fibers for our clothing. So
there we agree.
it behooves us to be conscientious of these resources and create a more sustainable way of living, because it's really nice to think of the next 20 years that you'll be alive and I just won't have kids is not really an answer, because there is life beyond our existence. There'll be the childrens of tomorrow,
Right,
and us in 20 years are going to be able to do a lot less than us what we can do right now. So why not create an environment where we can at in our old age relax and be able to do things. Habits are created with consistency.
right. Remember how we were talking about the carbon offsets?
Hmm.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
that to those that okay, so carbon offset is the amount of money you can pay for a project that reduces greenhouse gases somewhere else. So if you offset 1 ton of carbon, the offset will help capture or destroy 1 ton greenhouse gases that will otherwise have been released into the atmosphere. So offsets also promote sustainable development and increase the use of renewable energy. So there's plenty of ways we could do that. So like paying $8 for this will reduce this, $5 for this. And if we do, I mean, if you want to help in little ways, you could do carbon offsets. So
Yeah.
find it in your area where you're able to find a carbon offset. Yeah.
Yeah. And as the last thought, my mama put this, and it's very true. The drugs that they give to the animals, right? We talked about being a nation of supply and demand. And in order to meet those supplies, the higher ups don't really think about much except the bottom line. And you got to make the bigger, badder cow or the bigger, badder pig, and keep that going. And it's really unfortunate because what we see is the less fortunate communities. that don't have access to organic and home and locally grown foods as much because it is pricier because supply and demand, right? um what they're subject to is a lot of canned foods, which are high in sodium and preservatives. And of course, in the production of these animals, even 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 eating grass fed, uh, cows and stuff like that, it's helping with emissions, but it's not entirely because they're still taking up those plots of land.
Right.
Um, but that being said, it has its toll. It takes its toll on the human body. We see so many things now, from mental health to actual physical disorders that are born of our nutrition.
Right.
Um, and so many hormonal differences in our bodies, and you see that in men or women, the ingestion of certain chicken products and whatnot, because of the hormones that they're given, and throws off their hormones incredibly. And there's some conflicting studies, but for the most part, a lot of the studies prove that what you eat really does make up your body. So to be careful what you put in it and where it's coming from. So it's true, the drugs given to them, because then what? We're just helping pharmaceutical companies have to treat things that wouldn't have existed in the first place if
Exactly.
what we're taught is to be wary and conscious and considerate of what we're eating versus like, cómetelo y tómate una pastilla later to feel better.
Right.
We're putting our money in the wrong places.
That's what I think. Like, treat your body good. Like, feed it. Obviously, take care of yourself. Know what's good for you. Oh, this makes me break out. Then don't eat it. There's something wrong with it for a reason. Like, this makes me sick or this or that. Just figure out what you're feeding your body, what's good, what you should keep or, want to keep that's good. And the rest, get rid of it, because at the end of and remember to drink water, okay? Water.
And excess within control. We all know that a lot
Oh,
of this is easier said than done. Like Chubi says, one step at a time, one day at a time, baby steps, baby steps.
baby steps. For,
Hashtag baby steps.
for drinking your water.
Right? Especially because it is easier said than done. A lot of the other habits, like nobody expects you to go from I eat meat every day to like next day, that's it, no more.
Oh no,
Your
you'll
body will go through it. It's just like any other drug. Like
drug.
your body will go through a withdrawal of it. So it's like a decline, a readjustment. You figure out what works for you, for your body, for your household, right? And what kind of impact you want to have on the planet, on your community. There's nobody that's going to be behind you with a gun saying you have to stop doing this or you have to start doing that. Just add your own awakening to the collective consciousness. And if we all do a little bit of that, we'll go a lot further than where we've been in the last maybe couple of decades. That it's or few decades versus couple.
And with all this being said, global warming is real.
Listen, I put all those people that say that global warming isn't a thing in the same list as the people that say that the Holocaust didn't happen. Y'all need to pick up a damn book, watch the news. I don't know, do something with your life. The hell, go outside. Go. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
In certain places, all you have to do, if you've lived somewhere long enough, you know what it feels like during some month or another. All you got to do is go outside to know that Mother Nature is going through it and we're not helping her.
It's like the other day was hot and now it's like in 40s. I was like, why?
I had seen this meme, and this will be my final thought. I had seen this meme that really struck with me at the beginning of the pandemic about how, yeah, Mother Nature's going through her thing, and there's evolution in everything, even on our planet. But that being said, let's not be a parasite to our planet and continually make it sick, because we saw the difference when a lot of us were staying home and not doing the same day-to-day functions because we couldn't, right? And even when we went back to it, it wasn't to the same capacity, or people were automatically doing it differently to save money because we don't a lot of us don't have jobs, right? So what happens? Automatically our planet starts to appreciate that and act differently. It evolves just like we do. So let's not be a parasite to our planet let's coexist, right? So it's a symbiotic relationship versus a parasitic relationship
Right.
with Mother Earth. I
Mine
know that from money.
mine is just educate yourself. Read. Reading is essential. Just be conscious that we only have this one earth, one planet, one basically one life. And if we want to keep it for a little bit longer, let's try to do our best. You know, that's it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of this earth actually. Just take care of it. If not, we're not gonna have it for that long.
Yeah. I just wanted to share Brian's thing last. There's so many benefits, not just world impact, individual impact,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you know that these things run in your family.
Oh,
You want to keep a lookout. Don't be that guy. So, yes, it reduces risk of heart disease and stroke. Absolutely.
definitely.
Excess within control, my lovelies. That's the name of the game.
But with that being said, I hope you guys take away whatever it is that you did from this and apply it, or I don't know what, continue with your everyday. I don't know. But at least take it one day at a time, one baby steps. Do one thing, you
Right.
know, this year that can contribute to a longer earth,
What were
lifespan.
your three goals? To reiterate it before we head out, your
Well,
three goals.
I only have one goal, to get rid of
Um,
my
the
plastic.
bottles of water. I'm gonna try using this sucker. Although I haven't been using straws too much lately, but if I do, this will be the straw I use. The water bottle thing, and to be more conscientious of the clothes thing because that really got out of hand, and I still have a shit ton of clothes. So those are my three. That's all. Stay fearless, y'all. Thank you for
Stay
watching.
fearless.